Hi, this is Roger Moore, and you're listening to James Bond Radio.
Hello, and welcome to an emergency JBR podcast. We haven't done one of those in a while. Today is a very important day because we've seen the trailer release of No Time to Die. Now, the question is, though, did it give you a little tingle in your gentleman's area, or indeed your ladies' area? Speaking personally, I've an attack of the pins and needles all day long. But is it the same for my fellow double O's? Today I'm joined by Mr. Dan Gale. Say hello, Dan.
Hello.
Mr. Brian Dobson. Say hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian.
And Mr. John Williams. Say hello, JW.
Hello.
Goodness me. Are we all excited? John, you can go first. Are you excited today?
You know what? Okay. I'm glad you pointed to me because I'm like a caged animal right now, like a wild beast. And Tom, just do me a favor. You let me know when I'm allowed to talk. I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. Absolutely loved it. Got up at the ass crack of dawn. Or actually, I got a bunch of text messages. My phone was in bed, and I was like, okay, it's time. Went in and I turned on the computer, got everything set up, the sweet headphones, and then I kid you not, I got up right before I was about to press play, went and put in eye drops. I had to make sure my eyes were properly lubed at 5:30 in the morning to make sure I could see this thing properly. And sincerely, not in some sort of YouTube channel fan reaction kind of way, but I got goosebumps, and at the end of it, I yelled out loud. Baby, so I couldn't have asked for more. That's all I got.
Beautiful. How about you, Brian?
Absolutely the same. This has been so long in the making. I know. I messaged you last night. I said it's like the night before Christmas. This is, and it's just I've been counting the months, counting the weeks, and here we are ready to do it. It's fantastic.
Beautiful stuff. And what about you, Mr. Gale?
I've had exactly the opposite reaction to that. I loved what I saw. So don't worry about me suddenly, weeing all over it. It's not, I didn't enjoy it. I haven't been building it up because in the back of my head, the more you build it out, the more disappointed you're going to be no matter how good it is. So I have done everything I can to avoid seeing anything. So to me, this is, I woke up this morning and a new Bond film had been made, and that was quite amazing. So I've had a really positive reaction to it.
Taking the Chris Wright approach to a new Bond film. I like it.
Well, I don't want to second guess. That's my real problem. Is I know that's what this episode is all about, isn't it? Really, but I don't want to guess ahead and get it right, and then when I see it, I go, "Oh, I was right." I'd rather it was a surprise. So I'm happy to talk about how enthused I am about it. But
all right, you might want to leave halfway through this episode.
Maybe I should.
If we get too excited. Absolutely. Now, today I was ready for it. Today I was waiting, and I thought, okay, the word on the street was the trailer was going to drop at 1:30. So it got to about noon, and I'm like, I'm just not going to get anything remotely productive done today. So I'm just going to sit and wait. And I literally, like Forrest Gump at the end when he sits on the tree stump and just waits for the bus to come, I sat in my chair and I just looked at the wall and I was just waiting. And then the next thing I know, I'd fallen asleep. And then I'm hearing buzzing on my phone, and it's my missus texting me in all caps going, "Have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet?" And that jarred me awake. And I was awake at about 10 to 2. So it had been up for about 20 minutes before I was all flustered, like, and then turned it on and had a little watch. But yeah, I am very excited about this. I am very, very excited.
You got to the stage where you're falling asleep in the afternoon. Have you got to the stage where you're going upstairs and then going, what did I come up here for? Because that happened. That's the next stage.
Exactly. Yes, indeed. It's coming thick and fast. All right, no worries. So should we have some theme tune and then we'll get cracking?
Let's do it.
Please do it.
My name's Bond. James Bond. Bond.
James.
Bond, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British end up, sir.
Welcome to James Bond Radio. News, reviews, and discussion of all things 007.
Lucy.
As you can see, I have no problem with female authority.
Oh, pipe down 007.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to lie.
Okay, then now before we go frame by frame through this trailer, we're going to do a little bit of chit chat about a little Empire magazine piece where Cary Fukunaga is talking through the trailer for No Time to Die, and there's some extra little nuggets in there. Now, I think it goes without saying that we should, if you're spoiler averse, probably don't listen to this one because there's going to be lots of speculation. I'm a little bit worried about you, Dan Gale. There's going to be lots of speculation and banter going on. So, if you want to go in blind, Chris Wright style, then probably, take your leave of absence.
I don't mind talking about it. It's okay.
All right, cool. Good stuff. I should also say that Agent Lugo is obviously missing because we can only, in the software we're using to do the podcast, we can only fit 4 of us at a time. And obviously you missed out last time, didn't you, Dan? So you're turning the hot seat this time, mate. And we will, for future roundtables, be doing a little bit of a rotating, rotating table, a rotating round table.
It was mostly my own fault, but we won't go into that.
That's all right. No worries, mate. Cool. Right. So this Empire magazine piece, if you Google, you can read it yourself. If you Google No Time to Die trailer breakdown, Fukunaga Empire, something along those lines, you will find it. Now, I'm going to read each piece and then I'm going to ask you gentlemen what you think about it. So section number 1, which is titled Swan Drive, says, the trailer starts in the middle of arguably the most intense domestic in movie history. Bond and his partner, Leia Seydoux, Dr. Madeline Swan, having a bit of a Barney in the middle of a bullet-burnished car chase. It's a far cry from where we left them 5 years ago. Spectre ends with Bond and Dr. Swan in the DB5 heading off into the London version of a sunset, laughs Fukunaga. You can't pretend like that never happened. You have to honour this relationship and see where it goes. So, Spectre obviously 5 years ago, but indeed, it seems the story in this film is also 5 years on from Spectre. So we've been going in real time. Thoughts on that, J-Dubs?
I think it's great. And, that's the first thing that struck me, even more so than the music, which was unbelievable. Is that the opening line of the trailer, the first dialogue we heard was, why would I betray you? Why would I betray you? Which really was like the first thing that I responded to. I went, wait a minute, that's not what I thought was going to happen. And I thought, it's her, he's in love, she gets killed, and like everybody else, and that's how it starts. So for it to start with domestic squabble, like I went, all right, like I'm down for this. Like that story point grabbed me harder than anything in the entire trailer, including the music.
Well, I tell you what, if you were in the room with me, you'd have heard me go, oh, fuck, within a second of the trailer starting for that very reason. I was not expecting that at all.
Had you told me that the James Bond trailer was going to start with a married couple arguing, I would not have believed it. But it just immediately grabs you, and there's a thread throughout later we'll get to where she rolls off of him in bed and that sort of look he has of boredom or whatever. But I thought it was a magnificent opening that really just it shocked me or surprised me, and I couldn't be happier with it.
Beautiful stuff, Brian. Your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, let's hope it's not going to be the pre-title sequence. We've gone from skiing over the edge of a cliff to a domestic. But
it's your turn to make the dinner tonight, James.
Both equally as scary.
Why haven't you taken the bins out again? Yeah, sorry, go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's I've just got pretty much the same notes actually of Madeline's betrayal. That seems quite a shocking way to start, really. So I think we're going to be in for some interesting content there, I think. But it's a strange one, but it's certainly going to add a little bit of dynamics to it.
It certainly grips you, doesn't it? As soon as being thrown in with that straight away, it makes you go, whoa, you sit up and you definitely pay attention, don't you?
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? What do you think?
Yeah, they're obviously, when they make these trailers, they want to sell the film. They kind of know that there's a big audience for a Bond film anyway, but there's going to be people that only watch them when they come out and don't see them again, and may not have seen the last one, may have forgotten because it was so long ago. So it's quite brave of them to start the trailer in a way that, if you can't remember how the last one ended, or it wasn't significant to you because you're a casual viewer, you might think, who is that person? Why are they having an argument? If you do remember it, it works really well. Yeah, because that's your last image of that last film, isn't it?
Big time, absolutely. Driving off into the sunset. Number 2, Unofficial Secrets. Where it goes as far as Empire can tell drives the plot of No Time to Die, with someone or something emerging from Madeline's past that threatens her relationship with Bond and the mutual trust they share. We all have our secrets, hisses Bond in that same car chase. We just hadn't gotten round to yours yet. Fukunaga confesses that he and his writing team, including Bond stalwarts Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, and newcomers Scott Zed Burns, I say Zed, it should be Z, as he's an American. Sorry about that, John. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge had fun figuring out what those secrets were. Her father is Mr. White, he explains. Mr. White was key in the deal that saved Bond's life with Vesper Lynd. So there's stuff to mine there. Ooh, that's a loaded comment, isn't it? JW, what are you thinking about that, mate?
I think it's great. I mean, had you, to your point, Dan, I mean, had you told me that we would have to, that there would still be that big of a thread through this film from the last film, especially the way the film was received in the States, I would have never have guessed that. I thought we were going to go in a completely different direction. But the fact that we are on film 5 over how many years has it been now? 15, 17 years since Casino? That we're still there's still story threads throughout these films is amazing to me. My knee jerk to that reaction to that would be, oh no, please, let's just get on with it. But I'm really excited. Truth be told, I cannot wait to watch Spectre tonight.
Yeah, baby. Absolutely.
You know,
Brian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've just got to echo JW there, really. I think my personal thought was that they would maybe skip a little bit of Spectre and go straight with a new story, but absolutely not. I love the fact that they've continued on with the arc, so it gets more intriguing, to be honest.
It certainly does. Definitely some intrigue. What about you, Dan?
Yeah. The thing is, it's obviously the vision that the producers have. I don't think when they did Skyfall that they had any kind of arc in their head. I don't think it was really, the fact that he was too old suddenly when he had only just begun 2 films previously, that doesn't suggest that they had some sort of arc in mind. But yeah, it seems to have come together quite well. I think considering not that many people really wanted it to continue, and they thought, well, for this last one, let's have a standalone adventure. From what we've seen, it looks like they've done the right thing and developed the bits that needed developing, but it does look like it's going to be very different from the other films. And it looks beautiful, doesn't it? The photography of the whole thing looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So if there are little elements, little throwbacks to other films, that's fine. As long as they're not dwelling on it, I think it's all right. Some of it's got to be new and fresh, and it looks like there's plenty there to get your teeth into.
I suppose the question being is, had they not got the rights to Spectre back post Skyfall, would Quantum have been this organization? Would they have still gone down the road that they've gone, where Quantum becomes a feature, or not? Who knows? Nobody will ever know, probably. But there we go.
I think about it often.
I'm sure you do, as do I. Number 3, Double O, Trouble O. Much of No Time to Die takes place 5 years or so after the events of Spectre, with Bond, now retired, pulled back into action by his old CIA buddy Felix Leiter. Yes. And Bond soon finds that much has changed since he left. Specifically, MI6 is still recruiting 00 agents in the form of Lashana Lynch's Nomi. And while the trailer and Fukunaga doesn't confirm the long-standing rumor that Nomi has in fact inherited Bond's old code number of 007, we'd be surprised if that doesn't turn out to be the case. The trailer gets across the spirit of the new generation coming up and always pushing at a ceiling. Explains Fukunaga, one of the themes that I want to play with in this was legacy and Bond's legacy. After having retired, now having the new generation coming behind, is he being rewritten? Now, I think that's very interesting. And in the old Good Morning America thing that they did this morning, somebody asked Lashana Lynch whether she is 007 or not. And she went, she's definitely a 00, and that's all she would say. So whether that comes true or not, we don't know yet. Dobson, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about that, mate?
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty much the way to go on that one, to be honest.
What did you think of Lashana when you saw her on screen? Bit of Nomi action. What are you thinking? What do you feel good about that? Do you not? What you feeling?
Oh, definitely feel good about that. Yeah, I mean, she came across well, and I love the dialogue. The dialogue was great, and she's on about the shooting of the knee. I thought that was really, really good.
Spunky, I thought she's a bit spunky, isn't she? I like it.
Yeah. No problems with that at all. It's good.
Beautiful stuff. JW.
I've always been sort of neutral as far as she's concerned, just because I didn't know much about her. But in my little notes from watching the trailer multiple times this morning, I put that I think that the banter, the interplay between these two characters will be the highlight of the film. I think she's going to be fantastic. I mean, she looks great, got the right attitude, super sexy, strong woman, hot. She's got all the ingredients, and you can tell that these two, especially Wallace's writing, like I feel like this is where she probably came in and added her touch. I actually over the holiday watched, what is it? Killing Eve? Is that it?
Oh yeah.
I finally watched a few of those episodes, and I was like, wow, if she's writing this, I could see where this would translate really well for a strong character in the new Bond film. So I think that this is where we're going to see her touch. But I think they're going to be great together. I just think that she's strong. She looks like a strong woman who can kick ass, and that's much needed.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
And lastly, Dan Gale, what are you thinking, mate?
Yeah, I hope that they aren't relying on the formula that they came up with for You Only Live Twice, where there's three women. The first one is, doomed. The second one is evil and has to get turned, and then is also doomed. And the third one takes on till the end credits, because there are certainly three female leads in this film. And I hope that they all have something unique and individual to bring to the film. From the looks of it, I hope they just remain colleagues. I think they have a banter, as you were saying, and it looks like it would spoil it a little bit if it suddenly became romantic or sexual in any way. I think it would be better if they were rivals, friendly rivals throughout the whole film. I think that would be a much better. It would do the character more justice, and it wouldn't be falling back on the stereotype of a woman in a Bond film has to sleep with Bond at some point. We don't need that. Don't need that anymore. There's too many. It looks like there's too much going on in there for that to be a thread. So yeah, if she becomes a sort of thorn in his side because she's got his number and he wants it back.
Absolutely.
Because he's so stuck up. That's what he wants.
I can imagine if she does indeed have his number, I can imagine some very interesting banter and back and forth between the two of them, which I think is a nice move. Now, on that theme, Dan Gale, the next little thing is about Paloma. Oh, goodness me. Be still, my heart. What other things the audience expects? Cars, gadgets, fun action scenes, muses Fukunaga, and then who is going to be the new female that is going to be a friend or enemy? Meet Ana de Armas as Paloma, a CIA agent assigned by Leiter to help Bond in the course of his mission. It was very exciting to try to figure out a character that would subvert expectations. Whatever happens, it's just good to see Benoit Blanc and Marta Cabrera back together so soon after Knives Out. Went to see that at the weekend. It was brilliant.
Ooh,
Highly recommend it.
Good.
And if you're trying to figure out whether Paloma is a goodie or a baddie, remember, we have eliminated no suspects. So when I look at Paloma there, I see a bit of a naughty girl. I think that's the vibe I'm getting there. I don't know. What about you, JW? What are you thinking?
Oh, she's definitely naughty. There's no question about it. Yeah, I mean, we've got to have a bad Bond girl, and it looks like it's going to be her, unless it's Madeline. Unless there's something about it that they do a reversal on her, which I would love to see. I think Léa Seydoux's got the acting chops. I think she's a great actor, and I'd love to see them give her something to do other than be the arm candy that gets blown away. And I think that we can all safely say that's not going to be the case. So, all signs are pointing to her being the bad girl. I'm okay with that. but I don't quite know who's going to be who in this film, and that's what's really exciting to me. But yeah, I mean, God, I just, it's hard to imagine her turning out to be someone good and them being together, right? I don't know.
She's got that look about her, doesn't she? She's got I don't know what it is, but there's a flavor in there. You know, she's got double guns going on for a start. So there's a flavor in there. I don't know whether that makes you good or bad having double guns, but for some reason I feel I get baddie vibes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Double guns is usually a sign.
Dobson, goodie or baddie? What do you think? What's your prediction?
Baddie, definitely. You just stole my thunder there. I thought the dual guns thing going on was definitely a bit of a giveaway. She looks naughty. She looks devious. She's definitely gonna. There's something going on there.
Just my type.
And the double guns thing is definitely a giveaway. I'm looking forward to seeing how she develops in this one. Definitely.
Absolutely, me too. I'm so sorry. There's so much comedy gold just bubbling below the surface. It's a beautiful thing. Dan Gale. Now, let's just zoom it back to what we were just talking about the whole Bond girl formula that they've had since Thunderball.
Yeah.
Right? What are you thinking here? Because they're talking about subverting expectations. So do you think, first of all, do you get goodie or baddie vibes from Paloma?
Before I answer that, can I ask how many times have you watched this trailer each?
I have lost count.
I'd say I'm somewhere at like 6 or 7.
Okay.
12, 13.
Whoa. That's amazing. Okay, well, you've got far more ammunition than I have. I've watched it twice. The first time was when it came out, and then the second time was about 10 minutes before we came on here. So I don't... If you told me to pick out who Paloma was in that trailer, I couldn't, because too much was happening. I was too overwhelmed by the fact that I'm watching a trailer for a new Bond film. I'm not picking out individual characters. So if she was in there, I didn't see her.
Dan,
So
I've got a question for you that's more exciting than talking about Paloma. You've only seen the trailer twice.
Yeah.
Why? What is the reasoning behind that? This is madness to me.
I know. I want to see it more. I want to watch it until my eyes bleed. But my problem is I will start because I did this with I did this with License to Kill. I ruined License to Kill for me by reading the book the day before I went to see the film and watching the trailer so many times that when a certain shot began in the film, I knew what was going to happen because I'd seen the trailer so often. And I thought, I don't want to do that again. I like these to appear completely fresh. And it's obviously you've got to have a taster of this. You've got to watch the trailer. Otherwise, you just go in completely blind. And I can't see the point of doing that. But at the same time, I don't want to overwatch it. So I have seen everything you've seen. I just haven't absorbed everything as much as you have.
Will you watch it again after this discussion?
I may have to, yes.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Now, I totally get that. And I get someone like Chris who likes to go in totally blind and not know anything.
Yeah.
There is definite value in doing that.
You've got the rest of your life to watch the trailer over and over and over again.
That is true.
I don't want it to be... I know it's tough. It is really tough.
So tough. And I know what you mean, because I've watched that trailer again and again today, and at the same time it's firing off all sorts of ideas in my head of like, oh, what could that be? What could that be? And then I'm like, oh, I do, but I don't want to know the whole film before I go in, but at the same time I want to know enough to get me excited.
But you're already excited, aren't you? Surely you're already excited.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah,
it's tricky though when you actually go see the film in a weird way. If you start to think, okay, well, when's that part going to happen? When you start thinking about the trailer, you know what I mean? I did that in Spectre. I was like, okay, we haven't seen the name written on the wall yet. I kept waiting for there was this, you know what I mean? And so once you watch it a lot and then you're kind of watching the film for the first time, you're almost in your head going, okay, well, I know how are they going to make that fit in? So there is that risk.
It sometimes works the other way, though, because I remember watching that and thinking, when are we going to get the Majesty's theme? When are we going to get the Majesty's theme? And it didn't happen.
The Rogue One trailer had a bunch of footage that wasn't even in the movie. And I know that upset a lot of people.
Nice.
I mean, literally, there was tons of footage in the trailer that they were testing CGI or something, and you kept waiting for it to happen, or I did, and it never did. So then I was like, wait a minute. So that's always strange. You remember in the Spectre Skyfall trailer when he's jogging through the park?
Yeah.
In the teaser trailer, I can't. That never happened in the movie.
False advertising, that is. I want to see him run through the park.
Yeah.
Now, I think something you just said there, JW, which I'd like to pick up on, something I'm very pleased about. I don't see any shitty CGI anywhere.
No.
I find that very pleasing.
Yeah.
Everything looks practical enough for me. I'm very happy with that. I don't see anything off-putting. So that's nice.
That is nice. You're right.
Yeah.
Now, right. So should we do a frame by frame of this trailer? Should we talk about it bit by bit and see what we're feeling? Now, I tell you my first thing that I find highly arousing, and you should all be very grateful that my camera is only going from my shoulders up because I'm still at full arousal after watching this again and again. And that is, as soon as we zoom into this trailer, we're in the middle of a car chase. Madeline says a line, Bond says his line. And what do we have? We're straight in with the ding, 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 ding. Oh my God.
And the car engine, their engine and the music are like crescendoing together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I like that. And again, trailer music is always a very different beast, like we were just saying, to the actual finished film. But I want that. And I really like that rendition of the Bond theme.
Yeah. It's
going
good,
straight in on the guitar. That was the bollocks. I really enjoyed that. That was very nice. So, all right then. So here we are. So this is obviously the sequence in Matera, which they were all over the tabloids a few weeks ago. Now, I've been told different things. I've been told that's the pre-title sequence, but I've also been told something else is the pre-title sequence, which I'm going to throw out a prediction. Whether I'm right or wrong, who knows? My prediction is this. I think we're not going to get Bond in this pre-title sequence. I think we're going to get backstory. Because if Bond is retired and Felix has to go and fish him out in Jamaica, how do you work him into a pre-title sequence? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's got to have happened, unless it's literally, hello, Bond in Jamaica, I've got this problem, come and help me with it, let's go, boom, and then jump into an action sequence, which I can't see happening. So I think that I've been told that isn't the pre-title sequence.
Unless that bit is set 5 years ago.
That bit set 5 years ago, that's true. Maybe they've driven through London and then gone to Matera and got into some trouble straight away.
And that's something that might have happened a long time ago. And then we get the gap of 5 years or whatever it is. And then they find him retired.
See, here's my prediction, right? In that one of the very first shots that came out, we had what we see is obviously Rami Malek's character now with the face mask, chasing the young girl who we were told was Madeline, flashback styly. I think that is going to be our pre-title sequence.
Yeah.
We're going to get that backstory. And I think it's going to tie back into Spectre, where she says the whole line about knowing how to use a gun because Daddy used to keep a gun next to the bleach. And she tells that story. I think that might be Rami's character, like the dude she shoots, and that's why his mask is all fucked up. What do you think about that, Brian?
It's an interesting one, but would it not be a bit underwhelming not having Bond in the pre-titles?
It's been done before, though.
It
wouldn't
has
be the first time.
Yeah. I don't know if in sort of today's style and today's audience, would you expect to see Bond in the pre-titles? I know I would, because you'd expect some kind of, pretty big stunt. So I don't know on that one. It would be interesting to see Bond in Jamaica after the opening title song, and I can see it working. But to leave him out of the pre-titles entirely, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because I don't know how you get to that deep in the story straight away. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tricky one. JW, you got any thoughts on that? Any predictions?
Well, yeah, I don't think Matera is the pre-title sequence. I do hope that, considering it's his last film, that we have Daniel Craig in the pre-title sequence. That's just me being selfish. I think that the pre-title sequence is going to be Jamaica. Of note, we do not see Madeline in any of the shots anywhere behind the scenes of her in Jamaica. And I think he's going to tell Felix, sorry, I'm retired. Felix goes off on the boat. Kaboom. Felix bites it, and that brings him out.
Oh, so do you think we're going to see the death of Felix?
Yeah. I think Felix is going down. Somebody's got to go down. And we all thought it was going to be Madeline, right? How do you get those stakes up? What is it that really is going to bring Bond out of retirement? MI6 is under fire. They've already done it. So I think who's going down? And it's not Madeline. It's got to be Felix.
That's a very interesting point. I suppose that the discussion does need to happen. That everyone was expecting this to be a Majesty's half reboot where they're married and then she dies in the pre-title sequence, and that's what brings Bond into action. But in the released blurb in the text, what brings Bond back into action is Felix asking him for help. Mm-hmm. So that's a fair point. Yeah, I think Madeline. I almost think Madeline's going to be the main Bond girl again. I thought she was going to be pre-titles and then she's gone.
Yeah,
I feel like she, by the looks of things, she's going to feature a lot heavier than any of us thought, which is quite an interesting thought. What do you think about that, Dan? Do you reckon Felix is going to bite the dust?
Like I said before, I was trying not to think about it, but now it's all I can think about. Isn't it interesting though, that boat thing? Does that remind you the boat imagery? Does that look familiar to anyone?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
We need to see if that's the same boat, actually, huh?
Yeah. But certainly, if you look at the poster for Your Eyes Only, it looks almost exactly like they've taken that poster and said, right, film that.
I was thinking something completely different.
Really?
I was thinking Bond and Vesper's boat.
That's what I'm thinking. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
You know, the poster for Your Eyes Only, it's a boat exploding and a plane flying away from it. And it's not something that actually appears in the film, really. Gonzalez fires the guns at the boat, and that's it. But they've sort of elaborated that for the poster. If you take I haven't compared them. If you take a frame grab of that trailer and look at the poster for Your Eyes Only, it's really strange, just odd.
Hang on. I got a question real quick, though. Wait, there's something in the For Your Eyes Only poster other than the best legs ever?
Well, it took a long time to spot
I never noticed anything other than the legs, to be honest with you.
They're tiny little details, and they're hard to see, but they are there, yes.
All right, I'm going to look.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My thought immediately went to Bond and Vesper's yacht, Venice yacht.
Right.
That, we'd have had to have gone some to sail all the way over to Jamaica, but yeah, interesting thoughts. I like it. Getting the old brain box moving. So we look like we've got a good, solid car chase going on in Materia there. We've got I would usually say a Chris Wright style stunt of sort of bungee jumping off the bridge, but I'm going to say a Brian Dobson style stunt because you were one of the brave men that did that jump off the dam. I can never say that. What do you think about that, Brian Dobson?
Absolutely loved it. Yeah, that really grabbed me because I thought when he jumps over, I thought, what's going on here? And just the way he just casually leant out and grabbed the rope, I thought was really good. I like that stunt.
And that looks real, doesn't it? It looks very real. It doesn't.
Definitely.
There's any
definitely. Yeah.
Trickery.
Big fan of that. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Now, there's, how in Spectre you have the backstory of they want to shut down. We've got some exposition. We've got, they want to shut down budget cuts, shut down the 00 section, blah, 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 blah. In this one, we get the little voiceover from M saying like the world is arming faster than we can keep up with. And then we've got that little sequence where you got some like ninja-looking dude, not ninja-looking dudes, but dudes all dressed in black, abseiling through the windows, some dude setting off some kind of bomb and blowing things up. And we've got this thing of there being, chemical weapons or biological warfare of some description. So do you have any thoughts and predictions on what that might mean exactly? What you think that the background that we find ourselves in this time, does that trigger anything off? Whoever wants to go first can just jump in because all three of you look deep in thought.
I have to say that I love the line that Rafe delivers. The world is arming itself faster than we can respond. But what I love more than that is the size of his gut Do you see? And his tie's
I
all
noticed
jacked to the side. I mean, he is in full blown M mode. Huge gut, tie all over the place. I mean, what is in his tie straight? So I mean, it's a great line. It's a great look, and I dig it. But
do you know what?
yeah.
I said this before, man, and I will say it again and stand proudly by it. That Ray Fiennes is a brilliant M, and I loved him from the moment he became M. But I also think the older and crustier he gets, the better he's going to get.
Yeah,
and I can't wait for him to get older and crustier and grayer and heavier and all the rest of it. So he ends up like a Winston Churchill-esque bulldog sitting behind that desk. I cannot wait for that. He's going to be the nuts.
You think he'll stay on after Daniel?
I hope so.
Yeah.
If Judy stayed on after Pierce, I feel like he's got to stay on. Yeah,
I'm down with that, definitely.
So, any thoughts about this backstory, this exposition? Any predictions?
Can we talk a bit more about Ray Fiennes' gut?
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Because I've seen him in other films quite recently, and he looks quite trim. So is that has that been? Is he being? Is that part of his costume?
That's the CGI for this film.
That's what okay.
Male pregnancy.
CGI
Very
is
nice.
cake. CGI is cake, guts, and intestines. That's what it stands for.
Look how disheveled he is and fat. It's unbelievable. It's a great look.
But that's added on. I'm assuming that's added on for this film. I don't think he's really.
Yeah, I watched. Was it Official Secrets? Official Secrets is a fairly recent film with Ray Fiennes, and he's, as you said, Dan, it's very, very trim in that. So it's obviously something going on there.
Right. Okay. And he's in the new Kingsman film as well, isn't he? Saw the trailer for that quite recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went Raging Bull for this movie.
That's what it is. Yeah. He just spent 3 weeks in Rules at that chair, just
eating pancakes,
cramming everything in.
Guinness.
Right. I'm done now.
It happens to the best of us. It really does.
I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful stuff. Now, I tell you what I do enjoy is I think Bond's pad in Jamaica looks like business. What a lovely gaff that looks like, right there on the water. Now, there he is. He's obviously chilling out. It says that. He doesn't look happy to see whoever's approaching. You see the boat approaching, and he looks very steely as he's looking off into the... I'm guessing, like you say, JW, that's Felix. We cut to that little scene in the bar. I love seeing Bond and Felix in a bar. It pleases me a lot.
Yeah.
And he's saying, you're the only man I trust for this. So obviously this chemical weapons thing is a CIA-led thing. And for some reason, Felix can't trust anybody other than Bond. So I don't know what that tells you. You know, whether it's if he can't trust it, if he can't trust anybody else, but then he does send Paloma, according to the Empire magazine thing, along as Bond's sidekick to help him. But then, so that's a trick. Like, what? Why can he only trust Bond? But then he trusts Paloma, who's probably going to turn out to be a double agent. I don't know. But yes, Bond and Felix together, that's all very good. Now, Dan Gale, I'm going to throw this one at you. We see Bond ripping a cover off of a rather lovely motor carriage in a garage there, which by the looks of things is your favourite Bond car from the Living Daylights. What do you think about that?
That's all we see of it, though. So that in itself is quite telling. We see there are several cars in this film. We see all of them in quite sexy detail. In various different states, but we only see that part of that car. So that
we do see it very briefly when he gets out and buttons his jacket.
Oh yes, of course.
You remember that first shot? Yeah. We see it very briefly there. But so what do you think about that? Because I feel Cary Fukunaga is obviously the right age for him to be around during the Living Daylights time, and for that to be an important movie for him and all the rest of it. What do you think about that, right? Because when you think back to GoldenEye, when the DB5 made its first return after fucking decades, and what a special moment that was. Yeah. This one, I would say, is very unexpected. So what do you think about that? To bring back the Living Daylights car at this stage of the game, totally unexpected. Give me your thoughts on that.
That is also quite niche, and for a mainstream audience, they may not remember that car at all. There may be certain people that have never seen it before. It's not you do see those cars around on the road occasionally, but they're not as there weren't anywhere near as many made as the more modern ones. So I don't think that imagery will have the same connotation for most people.
But why? Why that one? Do you think there's a deeper meaning to it?
Because he's a dude and he's got taste.
And he likes living daylights.
Maybe.
All right, Dobson,
maybe.
You're a Dalton man. What do you think about that?
Well, personally, I love it. That is my favourite Aston. I absolutely adore that.
No.
Yeah.
Even better than the DB5?
Yeah. Give me
Good God, man.
Yeah, B549WUU. Give me that one every time. Love it. Absolutely love that car.
Beautiful.
High five.
When I saw that in the still, obviously before the trailer came out, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they brought that car back. But you're right, for the general audience goers, it's not really going to mean a lot, that. But for the diehards, that's just fantastic. They brought that back. Yeah.
It's for us, isn't it? That's what that is for. It's not for the general populace. It's for little geeks like us, isn't it, to recognise that and all the rest of it. J-Dubs, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
I mean, I got a couple of things to say about this. There's certain cars in film and television that I don't care. They're never dated. And I know you guys are going to laugh at me, but the first season of Miami Vice, Crockett had a Ferrari Spider in a dark, dark blue. That car still looks as shit hot today as it did in 1983 or 4, whatever it was. And I think that the V8 looks as sexy now as it did then. And I'm going to tell you guys a little story, honest to God, true story. Sort of my adopted Los Angeles parents, Talmadge Reagan and Worth Keeter. I met her. She introduced me to her husband because he was a huge Bond fan. He owns and bought Cubby's 87 V8, and I've sat and rode in it before.
How has that never come up before in conversation?
I don't know. I have no idea. He owns it. He won it in an auction. He goes around and it goes around the different shows, but he's got the one that Cubby owned.
And how, in the time that we hung out together in LA, how come we've never made that
I know.
happen?
And you know what? There's even a better story about the first time I went to see that car now is not the time. I shall tell at a later date, but it was a really amazing moment the first time. Scary, but amazing moment. But anyway, so.
Now is the time.
The first he kept it in a storage. He kept it in a storage facility, and we went to look at it and take it out for a ride. And as we were pulling up to the storage facility, somebody put a jack underneath the door and busted the door up a couple of feet. So as we were pulling up to look at it, he stopped. We both looked at each other. It was clear that the storage facility had been broken into. We went over, got the door open, and the car was sitting there pristine. What we think happened is whoever broke into that storage facility saw what it was and said, "No fucking way, we're stealing it."
Wow. That's a great story.
Yeah, that was it. And so anyway, that car is so shit hot. You know, even now, even in the 90s, that car will never go. So when I first saw it, the first thing I thought of, obviously selfishly, was like, oh my God, I've sat not in that one that was used in the film, but that same model. And it's just so hot the way they had them all lined up and getting out with that O'Connor gray suit. And he buttons that button up real fast, you know, only the way that Daniel can do. I mean, what more do you want? If that's not doing it for you, what are you doing listening to this podcast? You know what I mean? Like anyway, I'm going to get to that later. I had a real strong emotional reaction where I kind of lost it after the second viewing at like 5:36 a.m. with regards to all the naysayers. But I mean, it's just so incredible to have the old one, the 80s one, the new one. I mean, it's just all there, right? Yeah. But of all the cars, that's the one that they could have, picked in the middle years of the Bond franchise. I mean, that car is just the best. So, anyway, cool. That's my.
I love
story.
Love the idea that there was someone foolish but clever enough to have broken into that
storage,
opened it up and gone, that car is unstealable because
like we don't want nothing to do with that. Like we're going to get busted, caught. Like, nope.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was thinking it was respect. Like, no. You know what I mean? No.
There's nowhere they could go with it other than another.
Yeah,
another
exactly. So, but it was an interesting moment to be looking at him, looking at the door that had been, jacked open ever so slightly. And I just went, oh, well, this is going to be an interesting afternoon. But, and to be honest with you, to get into it and smell it, I had a 66 Mustang and it had a smell. You got out of that car, you smelled like gasoline, you reeked of it actually. And it being in the car, it had a certain smell that I'll never forget. So it's great to have it back, right? I wonder what they're going to do with it, to your point, Dan.
Well, I hope they don't just sort of kill it off within minutes of it appearing, because that's happened in the past.
You've driven one of those, haven't you, Dan?
It was moving whilst I was in the driver's seat. Yes, I wouldn't say I drove it. Well, I did. It was quite disappointing because I was only used to Metros, little Rover Metros. It's like a lawnmower, really. So to sit behind that, I didn't appreciate the fact that it was as powerful as it was. I thought the steering was really slow and clunky, and I kept stalling it. But there was a place in Bristol where you can rent classic cars. You join up, you pay so much a year, and you pay whatever it is. You get given sort of points, so you can spend this many points hiring a sort of rubbish little Mini every single day for the whole year, or you can save them all up and get a Lamborghini for the weekend. Either way, it costs the same amount. And they had loads of amazing classic cars in there, and that was one of them. And we were doing some filming at a film show, and they needed someone to drive it back. So
were there any optional extras installed on it?
There was a starter button in the middle of the dashboard rather than a key.
Nice.
There was it was automatic, which was weird, and it had two gas tanks, one at the back, one on the left, one on the right. Whoa. Which is quite interesting. All cars should have that. That's interesting.
All right, then. Moving swiftly on from the car chat. We cut to another shot of Lashana holding a big weapon, looking around in a darkened, what looks like some kind of office. I feel like this is going to be like a Bond and Goodhead type relationship. They're going to be in competition throughout the whole film. 1 minute she's going to be one step ahead, the next minute he's going to be one step ahead, and backwards and forwards throughout it. Quite how it ends, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. So we've got a little bit of that going on, and then we've got them, which looks like perhaps Bond's bedroom in Jamaica. She's sitting on the bed, and she's basically telling him that he's got to stay in his lane. And if she doesn't, she's going to mess up his kneecaps because he's an old man and one of his knees doesn't work and all the rest of it. Now, this is the spunky scene that I was talking about earlier on. She's obviously spunky. She's the new young upstart. We're 5 years on from Spectre. Bond's been putting his feet up in Jamaica. Now he's coming back into action, and she's saying, "Oi, get out of my way. This is my manor," right? So how do we feel about this? Who wants to go first?
Go on, I'll have a go. I think this is great because obviously it has a go at Daniel's real life injury on the set, and I think that the dialogue is brilliant. As you say, Tom, I think they're going to be rivals throughout the film, really. No, I think that works a treat. It looks promising.
Absolutely, John.
I love it when actors take their time delivering dialogue, and her delivery of that scene it's beautiful, especially in the middle of all this action, which is something about this trailer that I was taken with, and seeing the posters, which we should talk about, gentlemen, that were released yesterday, the character posters, that tactical gear. Like, I didn't see this being such a big action film. Is I just didn't see that coming, and so to see in the middle of the trailer there being a moment that where dialogue, this and the next scene, which might be my favorite, where they're taking their time. I think it's brilliant. Again, I think it's the interplay between these two is going to be the highlight of the film. So I love it, and I think she's fantastic.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Taking the little gap there, it reminds me of Daniel's delivery when he's getting his gonads whipped in Casino, where he's like, "I've got a little itch down there.
Yeah,
would you mind?"
Yeah.
It's very similar kind of cockiness to that, which I appreciate.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. And then of course we got a little clip of Daniel walking along a dusty road in a sort of almost looks like a long wedding coat, a coat with tails. It almost looks like, and she pulls up in a spanking Aston Martin. She's at the wheel there. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of that stuff, like, you know, when the DB10 is meant for him and then he misbehaves. So, 008's going to get there. Or is it 009? I can't remember now. 009 gets 009 gets the DB10, and then it's that like, oh, you bastard kind of thing. And then Bond goes and steals it anyway. There's going to be a lot of her parading that stuff around, pulling up in a brand new Aston that would have been Bond if he was still at work.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff. Any thoughts about, like, because you've got that little scene there, which again I'm assuming is in Jamaica because it was in the Jamaican sizzle reel, when they're in that nightclub and she walks past him and he kind of stops and looks at her. Like, what do you think she's doing in Jamaica? Any predictions on that?
On a mission.
So what do you think? Do you think she's on the same mission that Felix is on, and she's kind of getting muddled in there, or what?
I think they're going to be tied together somehow. It's not at random, right?
I suppose it can't be.
She's got to be there for a reason. Felix doesn't have faith in her for whatever reason, so he goes to Bond. They're all there for a reason, minus Bond, who's living there, right? I got to go back to that one shot of him standing on the dock in Jamaica. How beautiful is that? Like, Dan, to your point, the cinematography of this film looks so good. You know, it's more of that Deakins liquid digital as opposed to the sort of 70s soft, hazy, sepia tone looking Spectre. Not to take away from that, but it's just nice to see things, you know, framed and lit and beautiful colors and all that. But anyway, to your point, yeah, Tom, I think they're all there for a reason. Something's going on in Jamaica, and
on that note, how good is it to see Bond back in Jamaica? There's always something special about that. It's the root of everything is Jamaica. So to see him there, it's right for Bond to retire to Jamaica, because that's precisely what Fleming would have done, and probably where Bond would have ended up, you know, if the stories had carried on that way. It's good. There's something magical about Bond being in the Caribbean. Every time I see that, whether it's the Bahamas, whether it's Jamaica or something, there's something old school cool about that, which I'm very pleased with, and I'm very excited about. Now, we've obviously got this theme of Bond being past it again. We had that in Skyfall. You know, he's going through that whole fitness test, which he fails, and all the rest of it. And like you were saying earlier on, Dan, it was a bit strange that early in the game. And I know you've said this before, JW. You're 3 films in, and already you're talking about Bond like he's over the hill and done for. But that theme is obviously continuing here as well, because you've got that theme where, you know, Bond comes in and he introduces himself to the MI6 security man, Bond, and then the guy looks at him as saying, like, who the fuck are you, kind of thing. Like that, this, to me, that bodes well, right? And I tell you why, because I often thought pre-Spectre that Daniel couldn't do the humor. I thought that's just not his style of Bond. And I felt some of the humor in Skyfall just felt a bit forced, and it didn't quite sit right for me. It was like, he doesn't look that comfortable doing the comedy. And then in Spectre, I really liked the humor. I thought it was good. It really worked for me, which is nice. And I feel like this is on a similar kind of, the feel of that humor in that little short scene where he's introducing himself feels good to me. I'm not worried about that. What do you think about that whole theme of Bond aging and that little segment of the trailer particularly? Go on, Dan Gale. You look like you've got something to say.
I was thinking about his delivery of the line, and I always thought in Casino Royale, the first time we ever heard him introduce himself, it would have been nice. You fantasize about how these things are going to play out before the film happens. And I thought it would have been nice if someone, maybe a waiter at a restaurant, had given him a phone and said, a phone for you, Mr. Bomb. And he would go, no, Bond, James Bond. And now they're doing it. And that's like, yes, at last they're delivering that line in a different way for a different reason. And it's funny. It's a punchline, which is nice. It's really nice to hear that done that way.
Often it's tricky, isn't it, to how to keep the James Bond thing fresh after all this time, isn't it? And do something different with it. And that is obviously, like you say, it being the punchline of a joke is an interesting thing. It's not him just being super cool at the same time.
And also it's funny because it's something you expect him to hear. You expect to hear in the film. And so you're getting that, but you're also getting it out of context. And so, but he can do humor. He's done great humor in other films. And not all of the jokes have fallen flat in his other films. I think he's done very well. But I understand maybe that's just the writing rather than the actor.
I think you might be right there. Absolutely. JW, you got something to say? Was that finger in the air on purpose?
No, I don't know what I was doing, but I completely agree with Dan. I mean, this is what I wrote down here. The way he says James Bond is a way that we haven't heard it. And I tip my hat to the writers and to the creative types of that, because that's got to be really hard to do, is to come up with a fresh new way of delivering that line, and to do it as a joke that works. I think at this point is great. I actually think that scene rocks. And I think the sort of the unsung hero of that scene is the guy who slowly looks up at him. You know, I mean, there's an actor who's not been probably given much on the page that does so much with it, but it's that look that makes that work. So I think it's a beautiful way of doing it. They've reinvented it yet again. I love the way they did it in Spectre with what's her name? Sciarra. Oh, fuck.
Oh yeah, Lucia Sciarra.
Thank you. Where he takes the pause. So I think it's brilliantly done. And I also have to point this out. That suit looks so good on him in the scene. It's not super tight like a shirt. Daniel in that scene, in that suit, looks like, he looks great. I was taken by the way that he looks, if I can circle back around to my hashtag man crush. He looks fantastic. So I think that scene again is just brilliantly played and placed in the trailer.
Beautiful stuff. Absolutely. Now, after that, we have a brief visit to Q. We see a door opening and Q saying, "Oh, you're not dead." And then Bond saying, "Oh, I missed you, Q." And then he walks. We see a brief glimpse of Moneypenny. Now, skipping forward a little bit, you see the face at the end, don't you, with the mask on, looking through a little wobbly window, which looks suspiciously like the wobbly window in Q's little room there. Whether that's his apartment or not, who knows? So does that mean that the bad guy, old Safin, is going to come after Q at some point? Who knows? Or maybe it's a different window. I don't know, but it certainly looks like the same style of glass. Now, Brian Dobson, the next little scene we have is plain and simple. Blofeld is back. We see his little face on a computer, albeit looking all weird and digital. And then there he is, Hannibal Lecter style, behind bars, in a cube, not unlike Silver was a couple of movies back. What are you thinking about that?
Love it. Absolutely love it. So good that he's back. I really hope they use Christoph Waltz in a stronger way than they possibly did previously. Goosebumps as soon as he came back up, to be honest. Yeah.
So I guess the thought is that he is conducting his business from within the confines of some kind of prison, I'm guessing. Or it might be, we've got a problem with this Safin geezer. Who could help us? Perhaps it's Blofeld. I'm going to go and have a word with him. So I feel like it's one of those two things. Do you think Blofeld's going to stay incarcerated for the whole film? Do you think he's going to get out and get involved in the action at any point? Like, how do you think that goes for such a major, important character like that? How do you think that plays out?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be pulling the strings from his, prison cell base, wherever he is. I think he's going to be overseeing what's going on. He may be out there, but I can't see it. But equally, would it be a waste of his character and a waste of him as an actor if he's not?
Yeah.
It's got to be
Dan
there for
Gale,
a reason.
what are you thinking?
He's got to be there for a reason. You wouldn't cast him just because you could. Yeah, I'm sure with that many good scriptwriters on board, I'm sure there wouldn't be any wasted scenes. You know, you wouldn't think, well, we've got to get him back because we can. I'm pretty sure he is there for a reason.
Absolutely.
But it was not common knowledge that he was in it at all until quite recently. So he obviously hasn't been seen on many locations or anything like that. So
indeed, it could all be in set in studios behind
closed
doors.
It might be a small but significant part in the film.
Indeed. JW, what are your Blofeld predictions?
I think that is the only scene he's going to be in. Here's what I think went down. They said, here's $250,000. We're going to shoot you for 2 days, come back. But what I think got him back is I think that scene is that little clip that we see just doesn't even scratch the surface. I think they gave Christoph Waltz some real meaty dialogue. I bet you he has just a killer speech. And they said, okay, you felt artistically unsatisfied with what you were able to do in the last film. Come on board for a couple of days. Here's a bunch of money, and here's a Quint Jaws speech or something where he's really got an opportunity to dig into the scene between him and Daniel. So I don't think we're going to see him outside of that cage, but I think that scene is going to be a much bigger scene, and it's going to be a badass.
Good stuff. I like that.
If I had it, that's my prediction.
Obviously, Madeline's involved somehow because he's on his way in to see Blofeld, presumably, and then they stop in the corridor, and there's that icy moment between them. So, so maybe she works for MI6 these days, and she's going to go and profile him or some shit. I don't know. Being a psychologist, who knows?
And we got to talk about that line where he goes, "I'm not gonna lose control," and then he pauses. That to me just means he's going to lose control big time. I mean, it's such a circling back around to the beginning with the domestic, squabbling. 5 years in, I think that there's that's the tipping point for Daniel Craig to, start being a real badass. But I love that line, the way it's delivered.
Yeah, so from there, Blofeld's talking about how he gave up everything for Madeline and all the rest of it. And then we get some footage of them romantically strolling through Matera by the looks of things. And then there's all that kind of stuff going on, them passionately in bed together. And JW, you said you had some thoughts on that particular scene, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at that scene, the way she rolls off of him, he's just in bed looking up, sort of contemplative, I guess. And dare I say, even like bored. I don't know. It just, I mean, you've been with
missionary again, darling. Really? Couldn't we mix it up a little bit?
You know what I mean? You're 5 years in, the truth is starting to come out. There's just this look that he's given. Not that I've been in that position as a man. I would dare say that, but we all know that. I don't know. Just next time that scene comes up, guys, look at it. And if you've been in a long-term relationship, speaking for both sides, you might know a little bit about that look.
I have no idea what you mean.
The curtain is coming back big time here. So I just think it's an interesting moment, where obviously he's unsatisfied with Madeline, right? Something's bugging him.
Go on, Dan. What were you going to say there, buddy?
You got to cut him some slack. He did have his testicles crushed by a huge bit of rope a couple of films ago.
But that doesn't mean anything to her. Like, she doesn't care about that. That's no excuse.
Is the disappointment on his face or hers?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
That's right. That's true. Yep.
Now, moving swiftly on, we see a shot of Madeline opening a box with the mask in, with the bottom part all messed up and blown away around here. And she's obviously not happy to see it. She's got some tears in her eyes and she's looking like, it's like an old shit moment, right? Now, as we discussed briefly before, there was that first paparazzi shot or whatever it was, shot in Norway, You got the young girl with the rainbow jacket on running away from the dude in the mask. And I know we've talked about that before. And I was like, I think that's Rami's character. I remember JW was saying he looked too big to be Rami.
Too big, yeah. I was going to give you credit. You were right.
Yeah.
But God, they looked like a huge dude in that footage being shot by somebody.
Which begs the question, remember the whole casting call thing, that there was going to be some big Samoan geezer in this film. We see no sign of any big Samoan geezers in this film.
Yeah.
Do we?
True.
So I'm wondering whether that character is still a thing or not, or maybe he's a much smaller role than we thought. We all assumed, oh, that's the new Hinks or whatever, or the new sort of right-hand man bodyguard kind of guy, but maybe not. So that's a funny one. We've not heard anything about that in any casting or anything, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
yeah, you're right.
That seems to have disappeared. So that obviously is Rami tailing the young Madeline. Flashback. That's going to be my prediction that that's the pre-title sequence, as I said. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. Just putting that out there. So he's got that mask on, and then all of a sudden she's got this box with the mask in, all smashed up and all broken. So what that means, who knows? Intriguing. We'll come back to that in a minute. We're cutting to some more shots. We've got a helicopter flying away. We've got Bond stood amongst some trees looking at that helicopter. Doesn't really tell us much, but it's a thing. And then we've got Bond and Madeline, and she's saying, you don't know what this is. And he's looking like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, he's got that kind of look on his face. So there's a lot of mystery here. And now Blofeld says to him, Madeline's secret will be the death of you. Now, what do we think Madeline's secret is? Any predictions on that? Brian, have you got any thoughts, any predictions, anything at all?
Not really on that one. I haven't really given that one a great deal of thought. But obviously,
let me follow up with this. In that Empire magazine thing, and Fukunaga said that Mr. White was her father, and he was directly involved in Bond's life being spared for Vesper. So that ties in directly with Vesper, goes right back to Casino. So, and he was saying how that stuff to be mined and played with. So, do you think there's any link between Madeline and Vesper's death, or Vesper at all? This is something JBR listener John Ward brought up to me earlier today, so I'm intrigued by this. What are your thoughts?
That's a very, very good point, and it would add even more depth to it, wouldn't it? Yeah, there's a good possibility of that. Extend the arc right back to Casino.
But what could because her secret would be the death of Bond. That would be a pretty hefty secret, wouldn't it? It's got to be fucking big, isn't it? Really, for it to be that important. J-Dubs, any thoughts?
She is not the woman that we think she is. I think she was much more involved in stuff that was heart-wrenching to Bond than Bond knew about. The death of Vesper, maybe. I don't know. Did you just say that? Sorry.
My thoughts are right. When you think back at the very first blast of this trailer, why would I betray you? But she looks genuinely I feel like she's being honest there. I feel like I'm not sure she's like a nasty, conniving, evil person. I think maybe she's been involved with some nasty, conniving, evil stuff that's not really her fault, but she was involved in some way that negatively. Do you think she's a baddie when you say that she's not the character we think she is? Do you think she's a villain of some description?
I think maybe she did some things in the past that weren't good. Is she a baddie now? Probably not. But come on, guys, there's no way these two are driving off in the Aston at the end of the movie, right? I'm not saying she's going to die, but at the same time, there's no way Daniel's tenure is going to end with him riding off into the sunset with Madeline, arm in arm and happy. No way.
That's true.
I mean, there's got to be something there in her backstory that is going to cause problems for the future relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
I think you're right. Anything further to add, Brian or Dan?
Well, go on, Dan. Go on.
No, I'm just thinking if this is the last film that he's making, you're right. It's going to be, it's going to have to have a sort of proper stop. It can't be a sort of ellipsis. so to speak. It can't be, and there's more to come. It's got to have a proper sort of end.
Defined ending.
Yeah, I think that is going to probably be something that will suggest that adventures could continue. We just won't ever see them.
I sort of disagree, because I think we're going to have. Yeah, I think we're going to have a bit of a twist at the end of this one. I think we're going to have a bit. I think we're going to have a bit of a cliffhanger. I think it's going to be something we weren't expecting. To sort of an On Her Majesty's style ending that's possibly going to be maybe downbeat, maybe, or certainly not what we're used to seeing.
Let's throw it out there.
Yeah,
Are you saying you reckon Bond's going to die at the end of this? Because that's been a little thread in the rumours all along. That was a Danny Boyleism. Do you think that's going to be the surprise?
He hasn't got time. It says it in the title.
Truth.
Yeah.
Go on, Brian. You got. If you think there's a Majesty style ending in there, do you think that this time it's Bond?
It could well be. I do like what sort of JW was saying earlier about Felix, but yeah, I just get this feeling that there's going to be an end that we're not expecting, and it's going to take us by surprise a bit,
and it's going to upset a lot of people.
Jay, you seem to respond there where I said about Bond dying at the end, JW. Do you think that's a thing?
I don't know that he's going to die, but I do think that the producers, writers have something up their sleeve that we're not going to see coming, and I think it's going to be a real divisive thing amongst the Bond community. I just, something is going to happen, and it's going to be different. It's going to be something we haven't seen, and I think it's going to cause a divide. I know I'm going to love it. Right. But I had a dream. I was out in Joshua Tree this past weekend in the middle of nowhere trying to get reception to see that little teaser, had nature all around me, and I'm trying to get a cell signal. And that night I had a dream that they've got something up their sleeves. I don't know that he's going to die, but we could get like a From Russia with Love book ending, maybe, where we're not quite sure what just happened. But yeah, it's hard for me to imagine Daniel riding off into the sunset. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen.
Fair play. Dan Gale, Death of Bond, yes or no? What do you think?
I would hope not, but this is its own little universe, isn't it? And it could yes, that could be a thing that they've done just for this one little mini series. I say mini, it's been 14 years. But yeah, over that, just the tenure of that actor, they could well. Yeah.
All right.
I got to add something. I'm sorry. Let me jump in real quick. Two things. One, when he was on Stephen Colbert, where he was promoting Knives Out, and he asked them, "Is this your last one?" The way Daniel said yes, it was almost like he was saying yes because there's something that's going to happen that causes him. This has to be his last one. Secondly, it didn't know Amy Harris in some interview let it slip about being very surprised. Something happening that even surprised her when she was reading the script. So I don't know, guys. There's something up. They've got something up their sleeves. And,
I'm nervous.
And I think it's tied into Daniel's exit.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
If they don't do that, let's just go old school. That is an arm in arm in an orange dinghy at the end.
That's it. That would be good.
That's what I want to see.
I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I read that. I forget what it was called now, but I read that book that was shelved. Somebody wrote back in the day about Bond dying. Do you remember there was going to be that continuation novel? Its name escapes me. I'm having a brain fart.
Yeah,
I remember reading that and reading the scene where Bond dies, and it was with a garrote wire, Red Grant style, and that's it. He just loses consciousness and he dies. And something very real happened inside me, like a real deep sadness. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is a fictional piece of writing. It wasn't even fucking released. And I'm reading about Bond dying and I'm feeling very emotional and I didn't like it. I don't want to see Bond die. I want to see Bond be a badass all day, every day. That's my thoughts.
Was
Orange
this
Thingy gets my vote.
Was this the novel that was There was one that was released in the 80s, and it was clearly fan fiction, but it was sort of hovering around as being a real thing.
Do you know what? I can't remember the entire backstory now. It was probably 15 years ago I read it now. It's just a little thing in the back of my mind, but I remember.
It starts on a golf course with Bill Tanner getting killed.
Huh.
I don't remember that bit.
No? Okay.
Well, we'll have to investigate.
Called The Killing Zone. It was called The Killing Zone.
I can't even remember that bit, but yeah, I'm going to look into it because you've intrigued me now, because I wonder if that is the same thing.
In the early days of the internet, it was sort of freely being distributed, and it was always hinted at that it was this lost Bond novel, but in fact, you just have to read it to see that it's just done by a fan. But there was also another one called Per Fine Ounce, which was eventually turned into another book.
Indeed, it was. All right.
Hang on, guys. I have to just bring this up. If we can backtrack for 1 second, I just got a text message. It popped up onto my screen from JVR listener Logan Morford. And this is all the text message says. And I can't believe we didn't bring this up. So is Waltz the first actor to play Blofeld in 2 films?
Yes, he is.
Little interesting.
No, not technically. No.
The dude from Russia with Love. And
it was hinted at that it was Anthony Dawson playing the body of Blofeld in the first and second and fourth films, but
I feel like we can give them that.
We can
that's
teach you a lesson, Logan. Don't you ever text
rebuttal.
Me again?
Yeah.
No, that's interesting, huh?
Yeah. At last, we've got some continuity. Yeah.
There we go. Our man in Kentucky making a little brief appearance. It was Kentucky Logan's from, isn't it? Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember him living down the road from Fort Knox. He was on double birthday episodes,
Kentucky.
wasn't he? He was greedy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right.
Logan Lucky from Kentucky.
Hey, I like that. Next up, we see Safin walking through the snow. He's looking off into the distance, holding his AK-47. It is. We see.
Looks
indeed.
really nice. Yeah.
That is a good shot, isn't it? And then we cut to a helicopter with Bond behind the wheel of some kind of white car, van, vehicle type thing, driving sort of alongside a lake. So there's some action going on there. Then we cut back to Matera. We've got Bond fighting a man with a very bad haircut. Bond on a motorbike, which doesn't look a million miles away from the Skyfall pre-titles. We have a shot of what looks like maybe a computer server room or some kind of futuristic looking office. Maybe that's the new MI6. Do you think we're going to get Universal Exports back again after MI6 blew up? We got the new headquarters. Do you think we're going down that route? I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I would love to see it. Yeah,
on a business card.
We see Bond with a machine gun in the shadows. We see the mask looking through the window, right? The sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a wobbly window? That's not the right.
Sounds good.
Through the wobbly window.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Q's front door. Who knows? But we've got that face looking through the wobbly window. He looks very scary. I want to know what your thoughts are on Safin. We've not had a villain who is that like proper villain, Phantom of the Opera mask styly. On the poster, he looks like he's wearing some kind of cape or a cloak. I want to hear Safin thoughts. JW, you go first.
That's one of those things that's a real fine line where it could be comical or it could be horrifying. And I think that from what I'm seeing, it's pretty spooky. That sort of, anytime there's like a Michael Myers, I guess, where there's a mask that's expressionless, looks like a blank face for some reason, that's pretty spooky. So it looks like they've pulled it off, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it. I've got my Halloween costume ready to go.
Brian, Safin thoughts?
I think he looks absolutely badass. I think he looks really, really good. I love the sort of pitted face, obviously some sort of explosion, or I don't know, burns maybe of some degree. I think that looks really, really sinister. No, my vibe straight away is he's going to be a memorable villain.
Dan.
Yeah, he does look very good. he's got elements of other villains. Perhaps the scarred face is quite Blofeld and it's quite Alex Trevelyan, but at the same time, he's got such a unique look, that actor, that I don't think we're going to confuse him for another character.
Well, I said it was what did I call it? Bio warfare or some shit earlier, but it's like it's like genetic engineering or something. It's something along those lines, isn't it? Rather than chemical warfare that he's involved in. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is.
So I feel like that scarred face has to be some kind of accident in some sort of experiment he's done. Because I notice in the character posters, he has, and you see it in the trailer later on as well, he still has the sort of remains of those scars. That scene where he's looking down and the mask is broken, you see his face is all mangled. Like that's obviously the flashback from years ago, and he's obviously healed to some degree, and you've just got the barest sort of like hangover from that.
Well, we know there's a clinic in Cuba where you can have your DNA adjusted to get rid of those sort of scars.
Hey, maybe it's going to tie into Die Another Day as well. Yeah, there you go, Colonel Moon's brother. There it is. It's all coming back. Dr. No, yes or no? Is he Dr. No? I think absolutely not. There's no fucking way he's Dr. No.
No.
But what do you think?
Not for me. No.
I get it, right? I get why that story gets out there, because somebody said it like by accident. There was a Dr. No related comment, and all of a sudden somebody takes it and goes apeshit with it, and then loads of people are thinking he's Dr. No. Maybe there's an angle where it was Dr. No inspired or something, or somebody said this guy has a bit of a Dr. No flavor to him. But it would be the weirdest thing in the world for him to suddenly be Dr. No.
Yeah, I read something today that we've never seen his hands, or somebody said, is his hands made of metal?
Yeah.
But which is, well, it's a possibility.
You can see them on the you can see a part of his hand on the character poster, and it is a normal hand.
Right, okay. So that's blowing that one out of the water. I just can't see it. As you say, it's. We've already got a Blofeld. To add a Dr. No into the mix or something is I just don't really think that's going to work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you put a comma in the poster, then it could be a line of dialogue. He could be saying, "No, time to die." Yeah. So it could be that if it is him, that's the last line in the film.
That is true. All right. Yeah, I like that. JW, what do you reckon? Dr. Yes or Dr. No?
He's definitely, I don't think he's Dr. No, but if he is, I'm sure it's going to be a really cool moment if somehow they tie that in, but I don't think so. Yeah. Hang on a second. I got to back up again. Apologies. I'm ruining the show. Right. There's something I got to point out. That one scene in the trailer where he's wearing the pants, those god-awful suspenders, and that Henley, look at how cool he looks shooting that machine gun. There's something about Daniel shooting a machine gun. Look at just how badass he's holding and firing that machine gun. Anyway, I just had to point that out too. That was another little highlight. Just nice to see again, for our first roundtable discussion, like Daniel Craig is just kicking ass. Now I know, Tom, you don't like the Rambo element. Where he got the gun and was shooting Inspector, right? But it's just nice to see him have a big ass gun. Remember Inspector when he was salivating over the gun and Q took it out of his hands? I always thought that was the gun he should have been given to shoot down the helicopter at the end.
Yeah.
What was the point of showing us that gun if we're not going to be able to shoot it at the helicopter? But everyone, when next time you watch a trailer, look at the shot of him and I guess those overalls and that cream Henley shooting that gun. Again, my man crush. He looks very sexy.
I think I reckon that's going to be like the climax of the film, that sequence.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my feeling. He's got his suspenders on. He's running around with a gun. I feel like that's
it.
That's the ending.
In the wheelhouse.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but check out that shot. Love it. He looks so cool.
Next up, we've got Bond at some kind of dinner party. I would say this is somewhat reminiscent of the Spectre meeting in the sense that it seems a similar vibe, a very old school looking place, lots of people in black tie and all the rest of it. There's a spotlight on Bond. something seems to be happening there, and I don't really know what it is. And neither does Bond, by the looks of things. He's very like, whoa, hold on, what's going on here? Shit's going down. Looks like Paloma's there. Interesting. Do you think that could be another kind of Spectre meeting of some description that he stumbles into and shit goes down? Who knows? Then we've got a Skyfall-esque shot, everybody. We've got somebody underneath the ice, scrabbling to break through the ice, and we've got Safin on top watching that happen. Some might say, is that Bond? Don't know. But this looks like flashback Safin, so it probably isn't Bond. Who it is, I don't know. But that's a very gnarly-looking shot. Safin looks like his mask's all fucked up. He looks like he's out of breath. He raises his gun. Looks like he's going to shoot the person through the ice, maybe. But I don't know. Any thoughts on that? Who do you think that is under the ice? Brian?
I think it could well be Bond, but I do think exactly what you said. That, hang on, when I first saw that clip, I thought, we've been here before. This is Skyfall. But so why would they do that again? Yeah. I'm a bit intrigued with that one, really. But I think it could well be Bond on the ice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Interesting.
That could well be Norway, couldn't it? That's that.
Yeah. I feel like that is a strong possibility. Now, Joe, what are you laughing at over there, JW?
I'll tell you who it's not. That's him, based on this gut size. There's no way that's him under the ice.
It would certainly help him float up to the ice, that's for sure.
No time to diet.
No. Whoa, that was a good one. Hey, Dobson's back with another zenith. Now, I'm going to hold something up to the camera for you, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm very pleased with, right? Right? Can you see that? Can you see that? How Ken Adam does that set look?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't it look like a beauty?
Yeah.
That, to me, that is obviously Safin's lair, right? And if we look at him, I think, yeah, that's right. He's kind of like sitting down, cross-legged styly. And that's and there's a bonsai tree in the background. Hold on a minute. Maybe this is in Japan, this last little bit. Maybe there's a bit of Garden of Death action after all. What do you think about that?
Never noticed that.
Yes. Interesting. All right. So we got a bit of that. We have the immortal line, history is not kind to men who play God, which I think is you're a kite dancing in a hurricane, Mr. Bond line.
Yeah, love it.
But this time it's coming from Bond. Very similar to the line in Dr. No, wouldn't you say, where he talks about the asylums being full of men who think they're Napoleon or God. So there is a Dr. No link there. What are you thinking about that, Brian? You obviously have some thoughts.
Oh, it was my favourite line and indeed part of the whole trailer. Absolutely loved the delivery, loved the line. That's going to be a memorable one that sticks around that we're going to be quoting for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Nice one. JW, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like his performance. Daniel's definitely not phoning it in. Those lines are said with like, there's something behind them. Again, it's just great acting. I'm seeing a lot of, in my opinion, it's great acting from everybody. And that the way that line is delivered isn't some sort of like, cardboard cutout. I don't know. It's just, it grabs you. So I can't wait to see what's happening around that scene.
Beautiful. Dan, any thoughts on that? Do you like that line?
Yeah, that really stood out. I do. That really stood out to me. What I noticed that as the trailer progresses, it becomes more and more like little snapshots. Trailers do that as they get towards this sort of big climax at the end. They always get shorter and more punchier, and it becomes a bit more disorientating. So you don't quite know what you're looking at. This will be from the beginning, this will be from the end, this will be from the middle. They'll all be unconnected. There'll be little lines of dialogue all over the place. And it's no longer there to tell you what the story is. It's just like, here's a highlight, here's another highlight. And yeah, that one really stood out. That was very, very good. But at that point, I sort of lost trying to figure out what was going on in the story. I just let it wash over me.
All right, nice. Yeah. We've got a shot of Daniel in a jacket with the old Henley top on, holding a big gun. JW's going to be.
Sorry about that, folks. I thought we skipped over that. Now that's why I brought it up earlier. So I was. Right, I came too quickly.
Oh!
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what this trailer does. So,
No wonder you had experience with the Madeline rolling off of Bond scene. That's the truth of it coming to the surface.
I
now.
promise you won't feel a thing. No, I'm sorry. I thought we for some reason jumped over that. That's why I brought it up abruptly in the middle of everyone's thought earlier. But yeah, again, that scene is just badass. Look at him. Look how cool he looks. Because that scene, when you looked at the still photo, you thought, hang on a second, what's he doing? Fixing Big Ben? What's going on here? And I just think he looks really cool. And I think you're right, Tom. I think this is the end of the film, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We have, after that, a cut of a car van type thing flipping over, some kind of car chase next to a river.
Yeah.
We have another shot, which we saw briefly in the Jamaican teaser, of Bond through the window, through the shutters, carrying the spear gun.
Yeah.
Looks very cool. Looks very Fleming. I like that a lot. We have a very brief shot of Paloma doing the double guns, looking fabulous. We have her looking shocked at something. We have an explosion. We have who I imagine is Bond, because we've seen him riding a motorbike, riding up the steps in Matera and doing a massive jump, which looks phenomenal. Looks like a great, great stunt, that one.
It looks real as well, doesn't it? And that's...
It really does.
Oh, bring that on.
Again,
every day of the week.
I've not seen a hint of CGI in this,
No.
so I'm very pleased with it. Now, gentlemen, we come to another thing which I need to show you on the screen, which I am very pleased about for multiple reasons. Okay, so give me a moment to get my multiple reasons out everywhere, right? It's this, right? Do you see that? That little shot. Okay. Now, does that not remind you of the Liparis from Spy Love Me, that set?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And what do we see? We have henchmen wearing matching uniforms.
Oh,
we haven't seen that in fucking years.
Yeah,
I've wanted henchmen in matching uniforms for donkey's years, and I've not seen it. When was the last time we had matching uniform minions? When?
Moonraker?
Moonrakers, yeah.
It must have been Moonraker.
Yeah.
And there they are.
Unless you're counting the guys in the mine, the Zorin mine. I think they all had sort of Zorin jackets on.
They did.
They're not really
true.
minions.
Yeah.
They're miners, they're not minions.
But the set design on this is exciting me. This feels very classic old school Bond, like 60s Bond or 70s Bond in this case. And I'm just hoping we finally get one of these big gun battles at the end where it's Bond leading the charge.
Yeah, definitely.
Some allies against some suited baddies. Oh man, I'm excited by that. What are they doing in that tunnel though? I don't know. They've got some light rod things in some water and they're all messing about with it. So I'm guessing that's some sort of biogenetic stuff. That's my my scientific thought.
I hope they call them light rod things.
Yeah. See, this is why they don't hire me to write the scripts. They got some light rod things in a bit of water. We've got Bond walking through a party dressed in the Dicky Bow in some blue light. He looks badass. We've got Nomi shooting a gun, looking badass, like a big explosive gun that sets some stuff off. Looks like that's in Cuba, that one. We know there's some Cuban action going on in this film. We've got some more Matera car chase action. And then what do we have? We've got the kind of the climax point of the trailer, which is a battered and bruised Aston Martin sitting in the middle of a square, dudes all around, firing bullets at the car. Obviously, it's all bulletproof. And then Bond's looking there and looking a little bit ill-tempered. And what does he do? We've got behind the headlight machine guns. And then he does some donuts and guns everybody down. Now, I'm on the record of saying I wasn't a fan of the guns behind the headlights in Skyfall. Thought it was a little bit out of place, if I'm honest. This time, I've got more of a positive feeling about the guns behind the headlights. Dan Gale, you can go first, mate. What are your thoughts about that?
The reason it was odd in Skyfall is we didn't know they were there. And it's not fair to push your character to the edge of a cliff only to have him go, it's okay, don't worry, I've got this covered. And then suddenly he's got a parachute on because we didn't know about that. Had there been a lead up to that scene, it would have at least planted in the audience's mind that it was there. But now that we know from 2 films earlier that car can do that, it's fine. Yeah, bring it on. And now that we know it can do that, it can do anything. It can sprout skis. It can have a barbecue in the back.
These are more heavy duty machine guns as well than we've seen before. These are like, proper mini guns, styly. Brian, what are your thoughts on the machine gun headlight action?
Yeah, I did like it actually. I thought that worked, especially spinning around doing the donuts, as you say. I think that was quite a good touch.
You like that? What did you think of the Skyfall ones? Were you a fan or not?
No, for exactly the same reason that Dan said that we weren't aware of these, and all of a sudden they pop out from the headlights, and you think, "Hang on, that's a bit of an easy fix." But now that we've seen it and it's been done in a different way, then I think it's good.
All right.
It made sense in another universe, didn't it? Sorry, John. It made sense in the Goldfinger universe, but we're not in that now. So
absolutely. John, what are your thoughts?
Loved it in Skyfall. And I thought it was just like Thunderball. It was convenient that they just happened to be standing right where the bullets were, a la the hoses. Like, just step aside. Like, what? If you're being hosed down, just take one step to the right. You'll be fine. But no, I think it was in the teaser when it showed them pop out. I went, oh, okay, all right, we're gonna do that again. But the way that he looks so cool and calm and just kind of glances over at her when they're being shot at, and they come out, and then he just does the donut and blows them all away. That was the fist pump cheer moment. Mm-hmm. And that again, if you've got a problem with that, if you don't like that, I don't know why you're listening to this show. Like, it's such a wonderful, magical moment, and very exciting. Yeah,
beautiful stuff. And then to finish off the trailer commentary, we've got that final shot of gun barrel styly Daniel. He's in some sort of circular tunnel, turns and shoots. Boom, end of the trailer. Now, that leads us to a question. What do you think we're going to get gun barrel wise this time? Do you think we're going to get gun barrel at the start? Do you think there's going to be some strange gun barrel action, somewhat like they planned for Quantum with the turn and shoot at the bottom of the ropes? That, if you didn't know, was originally going to be the gun barrel shot in Quantum, right? They changed their mind, didn't do it. But the gun barrel at the end. Do you think they're then going to use that idea this time and have that be the gun barrel? Maybe that thing with the gun is the pre-title sequence we're talking about, where he's got the braces on and all the rest of it. Who knows? JW, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we're going to get the classic traditional gun barrel. And I think that little tag at the end of this trailer was filmed and designed specifically for the trailer. I don't think I don't think that tunnel and that shot is in the film. And I think it was done for us. And, as soon as it said No Time to Die, you were like, oh, yeah. And then that happens. And it's just so cool. I mean, again, if it doesn't get you where it counts, I just don't know what you're doing. It's it's awesome, right? It's like one of the coolest things they've ever done. So, nice. It's the first time I've ever wanted to buy suspenders,
Dobson, your thoughts?
Well, I just hope and pray we get a classic traditional gun barrel right at the start, as it should be. And to be honest, I don't think Dan has nailed it in throughout the time that he's played Bond. That gun barrel at the start is just, or at the end, hasn't worked for me, and throughout his 4 films. So
I get that. I'm in agreement there. It's either too fast, or it's too slow, or it's like the Spectre one was great to see it back, like seeing the dots on the screen again, and I was so excited to see it back at the beginning. But it just wasn't quite on the money. Like the fact that you see his gun in his hand as he's walking, it's like no, it's meant to be hidden. You know what I mean? That's like you never see the gun before he shoots. And I liked the design of the Spectre one, but I would like to see like old school gun barrel. You know what I mean? Like, it had more of a sort of I don't know what the word would be, but it was more of a sort of like stylized white gun barrel. Whereas I'd love to see
photograph. It was a photograph, and I think the last one looked very drawn, and quite crude. But the original negative of that photograph must be out there somewhere.
Absolutely. So, Dan, what are you thinking? What are your gun barrel predictions this time?
Yeah, they'll put it back at the beginning. Of course they will.
I hope so.
They've learned that it annoys the fans, and you shouldn't annoy the fans because they're the ones that keep going back again and again to see the film 20 times when everyone else only goes to see it once.
Absolutely. Yeah, indeed.
I'm not asking much. It's like just a tiny little thing.
All right.
It's something to be proud of as well, isn't it? It's like, we make these films, we are proud of them, and here's our little stamp at the beginning. And after that, you can do whatever you want. Bring Dr. No back if you want.
Beautiful stuff.
Don't care.
Right then. So that about wraps up the trailer coverage. Now, I want to hear on a scale of 000 to 007, how excited are you? Starting with you, Brian. 007 being the most excited.
It can only be 007.
Beautiful
Super
stuff.
pumped up for this. Love it.
Dan Gale?
Can it only go up to 7?
So you can go further if you want, mate. You can go 009 if you want.
Let's do 10.
All right,
I wasn't at all, right up to the last minute, I really wasn't expecting very much from this film because of my lackluster, the sort of lukewarm reception to the last 2 or 3. I've just gone, okay, it'll do. But this looks fantastic.
You're a special case, Dan Gale, if you don't mind my saying. So you're an interesting case, I should say, not a special case. Because I remember when...
You're right the first time.
Right? Because I remember when we went to Secret Cinema together, you said to me, that was brilliant. That's probably one of the best Bond films ever. I've only ever seen it twice before. And I was like, holy shit.
What?
How can you've only seen Casino Royale twice before? That was precisely my reaction, John. And so you've often said the sort of mid-range of the Bond films, 70s, 80s Bond, is your prime time, the pinnacle. So it's interesting to see your relationship with these new Bonds. So talk to me a little bit about that before we hear John's rating.
I feel I have gone beyond my era now, and so I am accepting whatever they give me, and I'm fine with it. I just hope they do it with respect and they do it well made. And I don't think the last 2, technically the last 3, were well written.
Okay.
And it's a shame that they feel they have to make them when they're not ready. They think we've got a deadline, script's not ready, but do it anyway. And they're so much better than that. And even when they were pumping the films out quite regularly in the 80s, they still had very good scripts and they were finished before they started filming. And I'm sure they can do that now if they try. I'm sure they can. I'm very happy for them to do whatever they want with these films. I know I'm never going to see my favorite Bond film. I'd love to.
That's a very interesting thing, because I remember having
my favorite Bond film is gone, but I'm really looking forward to the potential that the next one could be the one.
If it has old Poldark in it, maybe. But yeah, so that's a funny thing because I remember back in the day having that conversation with somebody that like all the best Bond films have already been made. Like, that's just done and dusted. This is like Brosnan era type style. And being like, fuck yeah, I suppose when you're that many films in, when you're like 18, 19, 20 films in, it's like it's very difficult to come back and do something truly outstanding and amazing. Maybe that's right. We're never going to see anything on the same quality as a Majesty's or a Goldfinger again. But then Casino Royale came out, and I'm like, holy fuck, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, and that to me is a once in a lifetime quality Bond. That one, those don't come along more than once in a generation if you were lucky.
But why? Why not? Because they've got the same writers, they've got the same producers. It should be that great every time.
So would you? So
this one looks
I suppose what it all boils down to. My question to you is: how come you've only seen Casino Royale twice before?
God almighty!
Yeah, I find that difficult.
I don't obsess over the new ones. I loved obsessing over the old ones when I was growing up, and I quite like the idea of keeping them all fresh and not seeing them that often. Yeah.
So did the era end in 1989 for you, Dan? Is that when it?
Do you know, a little part of it probably did.
Yeah. Right. Interesting.
But it doesn't mean I haven't enjoyed. Oh my God, that screening of Secret Cinema was just fantastic, and it is a cracking film, isn't it? It's so good. It is so good. It's the best one that they've made since 1989.
Very doubt. Excellent answer. JW, on a scale of 000 being terrible to 00 whatever number you want, how excited are you?
They haven't invented the number. No, I'm as excited as I've ever been. And I guess in contrast and respectfully to what Dan just said, this is sort of my era of Bond. And, I mean, this Daniel Craig era is from my 30s into my 40s. And the next Bond, after I watched the trailer, I was kind of slightly emotional in the sense that this is the next Bond's going to be younger than me. And no offense, I want to be a millennial as much as a millennial wants to be my age, And so this is sort of the end of a certain relatable quality that I have to Bond. And I always think in terms of like what these films mean to me on a personal level, as opposed to which one is the best. Truth be told, from like a personal level, Casino's probably at the bottom of the list as far as the Craig films go, as far as where I was at in life, what was happening, just a certain age, where I lived, who I was with and all that. Like I really take that into account when these films come out every 3 to 4 years, 5 years. So this is definitely the end of an era. That's not lost on me. And I've always had a very, very good feeling about it. Super positive about this film. And this trailer just solidifies all of that. It superseded my expectation. Everything from the music, the acting, the clothes, the action, from Daniel's performance. It just seems like it's all there. And the more I watch the trailer, the more I realize it feels like they're taking key ingredients from all the past 4 films. You can kind of see a little bit of Casino, a little bit of Quantum, a little bit of Skyfall, a little bit of Spectre in there. Yet it's new and it's fresh. And I credit, in my opinion, thus far, Fukunaga with all of that. And I'm so excited, and I cannot wait to see it and share it with everybody in the JVR family. I cannot wait to find out what's going on with the soundtrack. The music in it sounds fantastic. So I think it's amazing. And I have to admit that I watched it once, then I immediately watched it again. And after getting goosebumps and yelling literally out loud, I went into this tirade that would have been hysterical had it been on film, where, for all you folks out there who have just been so negative about this film, it's Barbara Broccoli's fault and all this crap, you were wiping the egg off your face. Because this trailer, what more could you possibly want out of a James Bond trailer? You look like a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. And if you don't like this, get out of here. I'm sorry. Like, it's amazing to me that people can, destroy what they love. Have some faith. And I think this trailer just delivers across the board.
If I could just lower the tone massively from that statement, I would say this trailer, rather than wiping the egg off their face, they are wiping the jizz off their face.
Wait a minute. This is it.
Trailer, because it delivered on so many levels. Yeah. It really was. And it does make me wonder, with all those naysayers, is like, what team are you on, man? Idiots. Like when you've got a new Bond film coming up and you call yourself a Bond fan, rather than get behind the people who are making the film and be on that team, rather than just sit there and try and take a dump on it. It is a very, very strange phenomena that I really don't understand.
This one was written by a woman, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Terrible. Completely.
Isn't it, really?
Oh, terrible.
It's ridiculous.
I don't get it. I try not to get into arguments on Twitter for that reason. And it's, life is too short for that. I did start an argument the other day. And then
it's just not worth it, is it?
Yeah. They certainly wouldn't say it to your face. You know what I mean? From behind the computer, they
would have a hard time saying it at all if they had seen that trailer, because that does look great. Even the trailers for the last 2 or 3 films have been absolutely brilliant. So that doesn't mean that this is going to be absolutely spot on, but it is promising from all elements that we're looking at here. The way it looks, the stunts, the little nods, the nods that we can barely see, but we know what they are from looking at them.
Yeah,
the back of that car.
I do feel like on some level, I think on some level it's not their fault in a lot of ways, because the press do twist things, and they do. Their job is to wind you up these days, to just keep you engaged. That what they're doing. They're just trying to wind you up. What kind of twist can we put on this to wind people up and get them to engage? That really is actually a thing. And if you don't know that's what's going on, and you allow yourself to be manipulated into feeling anger at something, then, you do have to sort of like wake up a little bit and understand that that's the world we're living in these days, where a lot of the times the press aren't really the press anymore. They're just professional winder-uppers, for want of a better word.
Why do we need them?
So,
what's the purpose?
Maybe we don't.
Well, Tom, hang on. Right back at you, though. I'm sorry. Where does it fall for you? You're asking us. What do you mean, what? What number do you give it? Like, what are your thoughts?
It's all right, isn't it? It's all right. I'll go and watch it. I'll go and watch it twice.
Fills the gap.
Yeah. Fuck it. No, I'm super excited. I've not done anything remotely productive today. As soon as I saw that once, I was pins and needles, head to toe, and I've been the same ever since. I've just been watching it again and again. I'm super excited. This looks again like exactly what I want from this film. A lot of people don't like it. I love the whole serialized storyline, the thread going through. I love all that shit. I love the fact that Blofeld is in it again. I love the fact that it's a directly related follow-on from the last installment. For me, if it was just a standalone, I feel like that would just be weird, having 4 films all linked together and then a random standalone at the end. However you feel about the Skyfall part of that, I don't know. But I'm super excited for this. And like coming straight in, hearing that Bond theme kicking in, there's nothing better. I'm super excited. So my score is 00, same as yours, John. Hasn't been invented yet.
00 Infinity.
Yeah.
And lastly, Tom, I have to ask this question because I know you talked him into watching it last time. Have you tried to talk Chris into it? And if so, has he watched it? Is he going to see it? Any feedback from Chris on this yet or no?
No. Well, the difference is this time is before we were still doing the podcast together. It was like, he's like, I just don't want to see it, but I'll podcast about everything else. Whereas now it's a bit different because he's like, I don't want to do the fucking podcast anymore. So I'm like, I'm just not going to say anything and just
because but you got him to watch it last time, right?
I did get him to watch it last time because it was so important to me. Because like seeing that whole welcome James, it's been a long time. Finally, who we have is Blofeld on the screen. I'm like, this is too important to miss. You can't not see this one. You have to. I'm going to make you watch it.
Yeah.
That was my vibes last time. Whereas this time, that we know that's the thing. So it's kind of. I feel like the impact of this isn't the same as the Spectre one because the Blofeld thing was such a big deal after all those years and he was finally back on screen. That is a once in a lifetime thing that we were only ever going to see once in our lifetimes, and that was it. Whereas this isn't that. It's still fucking great and I love it, and I'm probably as excited for this as I was after seeing the Spectre trailer, but there was that extra level of importance to the Spectre trailer, wasn't there, because of Blofeld. So I made him watch it. But the balance of things is different this time because he's not.
We got to see if we can try to get him to watch it.
Yeah, maybe.
You can send him a message to reassure him. Just say he looks good.
It was beautiful. Yeah,
he's got nothing to.
Yeah,
that's funny.
All right, beautiful stuff. Well, I think. Do you think you're going to see a white pussycat in this film?
I'm going to say no on that. I think they might leave that out.
It's unlikely. Well, the last time we would have seen it would have been in that crater. So unless he's got another one.
That's true. That cat is probably long gone. Yeah.
Literally.
Anyway, Righty-ho then. So that rounds out today's No Time to Die trailer chit-chat. That's 2 hours have gone by talking about a 2-minute trailer. Isn't that crazy? But sometimes life does that to you in the world of Bond.
We need to get a lot.
James Bond Radio returning this Friday with the music of Bond, JW. What are we talking about?
Moonraker.
Oh,
Yeah. A lot of people have been waiting
times.
for that one. Yeah, it's a great episode.
Good stuff. So we'll be back in a couple of days with some Moonraker action. Until then, I've been Tom Sears.
I've been Brian Dobson.
I've been JW.
I've been Dan Gale.
Beautiful stuff. And James Bond Radio will return on Friday. We'll see you then, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Good night.